So today's topic is marriage, and what does marriage mean to three of us individually? So we go with the first person who's been married for 10, 11 years now. 11 years. Uh, what is your opinion on marriage as long as it doesn't end up with Juan coming here and punching off?
Well, it's obviously must be doing all right if it's still going after all this time. I don't think he's going to come and punch any of his. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you want to know, like, does marriage work? Was your question last time, and it depends what the marriage is supposed to do, right? It depends on the marriage, and I definitely not like. It's not like I go about advocating other people should get married either. Like, to whoever the fuck you want, it's fine. But I when I met Juan, I think after a few weeks, I knew I was like, all right, you get like an intuition that's just like, bing. My brain, because it's very like pessimistic, just went, all right, this guy needs to stay in your life forever. Number one tier, great. If you could be married. If not, just like visit him every now and then. If that doesn't work out, I was like, all right, cool, cheers. That's when the stars, like the clouds parted and the stars aligned for me. That's what I told myself. It's like have a plan B and plan C for this guy if it doesn't. Yeah.
Do you think that, would you say that you're happy in your marriage?
Yeah.
Yes, you are. Of course we are. We know that. So there's no point in talking to you. We want unhappy marriages.
You want
We want
conflict.
to talk about we want conflict.
There has to be conflict if it's going to keep going 11 years. You have to resolve conflict and get over it and everything, and you have to. And we've talked before about energy in the room, how you get off, you go off of that, and I've talked about when I'm directing, like my emotions go through everything. Like when we did the scene with the party, and like sometimes I was like, all of these people here are because of my words, and like I wanted to cry. It was so exciting, and then other times I was like, oh, fuck, I'm so tired. I want to go home. Like, yeah, just like the next minute was that, and then I was like, I'm such an idiot. Like, what am I doing? But like outwardly, it was just always like, okay, guys, blah blah blah. And the thing, like, of course, even if clouds apart, stars aligned for you and this other person, and you decide to stay with them all the time, you don't want to be with them all the time every day. You're going waves up and down how you feel about them and how you feel about yourself. Marriage or no marriage, right? I mean, it's the same as a long-term relationship. There's no difference. It's just a piece of paper, really.
Yeah.
It's just a commitment, and what that commitment means is whatever the hell you want it to mean, changes. So it was useful for me because Juan was from Paraguay and had like a Paraguayan nationality when we married. Now he got a Spanish passport, but we didn't know if we were going to live in the UK or not at that time. Also, my mum was
Did you meet him in
Spain.
Yeah.
I met him in Spain, but he didn't have a Spanish passport. So we got married. Then I went back to, I think, no. We got married, and then we moved to Spain together for a year. But then I moved here alone, and he stayed and got a Spanish passport, and then came over. So we actually spent so much time apart that it was good to have that agreement to know that we would ultimately come back together again.
Yeah.
And also, it was one of the last things my mother did was come to my wedding because she was very, very ill, and we'd known about that for a year. So it was one of the last things she did. She said it was a really lovely day, and I do doubt that if we didn't know that about her, that I would have got married at age 22. It's not what's the rush for anyone else. I'm
Yeah,
not saying go do that, but
When do you think is the right age for a person to marry?
God, I don't know. Because now that I'm in my 30s, I would say in my 30s, because now feel like I know myself very well, what I have to offer, what I'm looking for, what I can stand for the rest of my life. I don't think I knew that in my 20s.
Yeah.
But I don't think I I didn't know that in my 20s.
Yeah.
I would have told you I was self-assured in my 20s anyway. So I'm sure people are going to tell you all kinds of ages, like, no, this is the one, this is the guy for me. I'm going to do this, like, age 18 through 75, whatever. But it's a beautiful commitment to make, and I think, it's never too early or too late, I guess,
No.
for most cases, I would say, is my guess.
Yeah.
What do you guess?
I think that marrying too young or marrying too early could lead to problematic. I mean, it depends. Of course, I can't talk for everybody. I can talk from experience and seeing a lot of my friends get into marriages, like in their mid-20s, like 25, they got married, and some of them are just living unhappy lives in their marriages because they've discovered themselves in their 30s.
Yeah.
And now they're in their, mid to late 30s. And they've understood that, no, this is wrong. She's not the one.
Yeah.
And then the girl feels the same thing about the guy. But they're in this thing together, but they don't know what to do because no one person takes initiative to discuss it.
There's also what I forget, that in heterosexual relationships, like with women, there's such a pressure to do stuff before you hit 30.
You're 30 because
Yeah.
of pregnancy, and there's a lot of scientific, physiological.
And it's just the way women are wired to be competitive to one another as well, in a way that's
Yes,
really...
this is true, and also they're so competitive, and it's almost like a trophy.
Yeah.
To say that oh, I'm getting married, and I was like, it's a great thing. I think it's beautiful if it's meant to be beautiful, but when it becomes showboarding, like when you're showboarding and when you're just showing off, that the reason for getting married is because I dreamt of a fantasy when I was young.
Thank God I did it before my high school friends. Who cares,
Yeah. So it's just like, there could be a sense of competition, of course, but I think essentially people, when I came to Norway, it was super like strange to me that there were many people who had children and grandkids, but they were never married to each other.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, does that even function? And actually, the government also kind of recognizes it as a thing. Yeah. So you can actually even sambor, like you can have a samborsavtale. That is a Sambor agreement, and if you guys have lived in the same house for over 2 years or something, then you can, as an immigrant, you can actually apply as for a Sambor contract. Like you live as a Sambor, but you have to have your own money. Okay. You can't be dependent on her or social help. So you could actually do stuff like that too, which I think is a very cool thing. But that is my opinion. I grew up watching a marriage that was my family. My parents.
Always your strongest example.
Always my strongest example was like that was the worst ever thing I've ever seen. I've never seen two humans go at it with each other and hate each other so much, and that they've had to part ways, and we as children had to be in the middle of that, and pick sides. Like it was, they were not ready. I don't think they've traveled the world. They acted upon their emotions and their feelings personally, and not watching the room. These are children, you should not put them through this. This is not the kind of energy you need to be showing them. Arguments, fighting, and then almost like, I would say that I love my parents now. There's nothing wrong. I just think the concept of marriage has to be, you could have children now, and maybe when you're 40, according to me, maybe you could have kids now, but in your 40, 42, 45, mid-40s, you realize, this is the person, she's been with me. I want to give this person that. I want this for myself. And then I ask for her hand in marriage. That could be the case. Okay. But I think this marriage is just too much pressure they put on people. And many cultures, like, let's say for the Indian culture, and Pakistani culture, like that South Asian culture there, it's still parents deciding who the kids have to marry. And I was just like, why? How are you going to be a part of their lives? Are you going to be the one who's with them physically, emotionally? No, it's a duty for them. And I'm just like, you should just completely abolish this whole nonsense and tell people, like, when you're ready and when both of you feel 100%, but that means you're 100%. That doesn't mean that just because you saw P.S. I Love You or, My Big Fat Greek Wedding or some shit like that, you saw a movie in Hollywood and then you're like, oh my God, my dream wedding is going to be like that exactly. It's like, no, it's not going to be. What's the point in having a day that is so beautiful? You spend tons of money on it, but you're going to get a divorce in less than a year. What was the point?
Don't they say that, like, the more money you spend on a wedding, the more likely
you're going to be far apart from each other?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's
more pressure you put on that.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine? Like, it's supposed to be the most joyous day of your life, but you are stressing about, oh my God, the cake is not what I ordered. That's not the color. I was like, dude, you just got to calm the hell down.
I felt, and lots of people do feel a kind of depression after getting married, where you're like, well, what do I do now?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, you just spent a truckload of energy into one thing,
and absolutely nothing changed.
and nothing
You just got
changed.
a
It's
paper.
exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
The person didn't change, right? Because you threw a lot of you got him an Armani suit, or I think the person's still the same, right? I saw this cool thing that they said it doesn't matter if it's a $5 watch or if it's a 25,000. The time's still the same, dude. It doesn't change, right?
Find a purpose somewhere else.
Exactly.
I guess, for a watch, for example.
I like watches because I believe in craftsmanship. I believe in the craftsmanship, like the way they design the watch, the way they work with it, how they produce it, the style behind it. It's important to me. Can people actually start doing that with each other? Like start liking each other for who they are and what they are. And I think it has to start there. But everything is so institutionalized now. Marriage is an institution. So when you're 25, everyone's like, when am I going to get grandkids? Like the grandmothers and the grandfathers. So are we expecting any kids soon? I was like, yo, what the hell? Times have changed. Like, it's from that time. Like what they did is very different now. Economy is different. My dad gives me these great pieces of advice, which sometimes I think is garbage, because he tells me, like, if you have 100 kroners, you should play with 10. And I'm like, yo, it worked then. Now it doesn't work. And also, how many marriages in the world end up in divorces? The percentages are really high. It's 67, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Is it?
I think so. I might be wrong, but it's somewhere above 50. That means it's a failed institution.
Isn't it about the pressure that you talked about earlier? People put too much pressure, and when you're finally married, nothing changed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't really. I'm not really against or for marriage. I just don't understand it because I don't understand the strategy behind it. You spend a lot of money. You get a paper that gives you absolutely no advantage. Stop me if I'm wrong, but I don't think.
I think there's like a tax bracket that you can. It goes lower.
Claiming citizenship for us, or
Yeah, claiming citizenship, or like say the person's been here, although that has been misused a lot. Like a person can get married, get citizenship, and then there's many people who do that in other parts of the world, but that's not. I think it's more the tax. Like, if I'm not really sure. I don't have the facts on it, 100%. But I think that when you're married, the taxes are kind of low if you have shared economy, something like that. There's a little bit of a. I think so. I may be completely wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay. Yeah, but my point was, I don't see the advantages being more than the inconvenience, basically, because if you divorce, then you have to split your stuff, or you have to do, I don't know how divorce works also like marriage, but if you divorce, you have to split your stuff, and you have to, if you have kids, you have to pay for your kids, you have to do all kind of stuff, and to me it feels like you're basically closing one more door toward your freedom if you get married, right? Sure. So that's how it feels, and I never understood the strategical aspect of marriage, because I do feel like people do things because there is a strategy, there is a thinking behind it, and if you get married because you want to show that you love someone, it's like, for me it feels like you do it more for the government to recognize you as married as a couple, rather than showing that you love someone so much that you married that person. Because at the end of the day, you marry, but it's it's like you talked about the depression post marriage. It's like all that money, all the big ceremony, all the stress for.
But there's depression post lots of good things. I'm feeling a kind of depression post making Mr. Sleepy, because I'm like, it's a finite amount of good. Like when we started, it was this promising project that I couldn't see yet. It was a film of infinite potential greatness. Now there's only like 10% left. I can basically tell you what the film looks like, and I'm like, because it's a finite thing now. It's sad. It's not all the potential of what was in my imagination. It's a real thing. That doesn't mean don't do it. I think that you have to devote and sacrifice in order to get any value out of life. And I'm very much a guy who's driven by meaning, and I'm also somebody who spends no time trying to convince anyone else to do anything I'm doing at all. You could wake up as me next to Juan and our two cats, then go to there's a job as a process engineer, and then read the books I read at the end of the day. If anyone else woke up as me and did all the choices I made, they'd be like, the fuck was the point in that? You know? It doesn't translate, and I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to sell anyone on marriage, and I don't want to just get married like at all. I wanted to get married to this guy after I met him.
Yeah.
But the concept of marriage generally made no sense to me until I met somebody that I wanted to marry. Then I was like, yes, I want to marry this guy. And then it was weird because in my head it was like, I had this feeling that was like, God, if only there was some sort of ceremony I could have that I could like stand up in front of everyone and say, I really love this guy and let's celebrate that. And I was like, it was almost like my brain invented marriage, even though it hadn't existed. And I was like, wait, I want a marriage. That's that thing that everyone wants. But no, it doesn't. I don't think it makes sense until you find someone, unless you find the person you're going to find. Yeah, and
Call, right? You feel it. Like you have this inner voice that tells you that, oh my God, it's her, like, or it's him, like, you know.
And all documents break down as well. Like I have a master's in chemical engineering because like a bunch of people came up with a bunch of questions that they asked me that they thought at the time demonstrated a certain level of ability, but once I received this piece of paper, it didn't change the level of knowledge I already had. It just confirmed it, right? And I think that I like having that confirmation in like over such a long stretch of time to remind myself that at one point I was so sure I wanted to be with this guy, I stood in front of everyone and did it. It's not that times have been that tough for either of us or if I've ever had serious doubts, but if I did, I know that I have something to fall back on. So that's my own personal reasoning. If nobody wants to get married, fucking don't do it, you know, it's fine.
You made a really good point. I think it's, as you said, something that you understand once you're confronted to it, once you feel it, kind of. Otherwise, you don't understand. But that goes for a lot of stuff. For racism, for example, you know, I couldn't really, I wouldn't say I could really understand racism, but I understood it more when I moved to Norway, and it was not really racism, but you know, it was oh, you're the foreigner, you're the immigrant, right? Mm-hmm. So I was in that position, so it made me understand it kind of more. Just like marriage, basically, you understand it once you're in it. Once you feel it, yeah. So you have to. It's probably a special setting that you have to be, a special mindset or a mood or something that you have to be in. Otherwise,
like two people living together, right? Two people live together. If you can't, I think by saying this, I have hit rock bottom. I mean, not that I hit rock bottom. I said, you can't top it.
By sitting here with us.
Yeah. What am I doing with my life? Why am I here with these two guys? I could be with chicks. Okay. But anyway, no. What I'm trying to say is, I think if you understand the person, and if you have patience with yourself, if you're ready to do this, and you get the room, and whatever comes with that, you're able to be at peace with. Or, of course, conflict is going to be there. Like positive, there's going to be negative, right? If you can work around it and this is the person that really gives you that, there's an understanding, and both of you help each other. It's a work in progress, right? It's always a work in progress. You are a work in progress, right? So if you can understand that, I think any marriage would work, minus all the glitz and the glam, the bourgeois experience. Yeah. Like, you know, I have to stress so much for the fucking cake because the picture's got to look good. I was like, you got to be shitting me. Fix yourself, fix the problem, fix how you are going to be with that person. See, this is the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
See, let's understand it. See a little bit into the future. Live in the moment, of course, but see a little bit into the future. Understand how it's going to be. And this is what it entails. And then when you're 100% sure, or at least, let's just fuck 100%. Let's just say that if you're 75% sure, go for it. Try it and give it a chance and see if it works. But both of you've got to be on the same page. Yeah. It's not just one person.
Exactly what you're saying is that, you know, the reason marriages fail are the reasons that people just don't sort themselves out. Like, married or no married, got to sort yourself out, you know?
Yeah, sort yourself.
You've got a relationship with yourself.
Start with you. Before you go out there and try to solve somebody else's problem. Nobody cares about that, you know?
Also, stop treating other people like a problem to be solved.
Exactly.
As well. My husband is not a perfect guy.
No.
The things he likes, I don't share all of them, but I try to help him get them. I'm not like the shit I like.
Yeah.
not trying to change him, you know.
Watch movies with me, but I don't like to fucking watch movies.
Fine, then we'll do something else.
Yeah, but do something else. Like, well, why is that I have to watch movies with you when you will not budge for a second? I want to go out for a walk. Isn't that better statistically? We actually go out for a fresh walk. Take the dog out. The dog's got some fresh air. You've got some fresh air. We've reduced our sugar levels. We've burned some fat. I don't know. Let's go outside. We've cleared our
Don't get
mental
married,
space.
just go for a
No,
walk.
but just stand there, just sit on the fucking couch and just watch fucking Netflix all day, all night long. And what do you watch? You watch some fucking stupid TV series, which is basically a bunch of bimbos talking about Botox injections and how much better boobs they can get.
Yeah, Jane. Why were you doing that?
Why?
I don't know.
Stop.
Final thoughts on marriage.
And guys sitting behind their computers and spending endless hours playing video games. Are you fucking serious? You're in a marriage right now. You got to do some chores in the house. The woman's not the only person who can do it. You have to do it too. So it's not just blaming women. It's also telling the men, get your shit together, man. Be a good man. Be a good man. That's about it. Respect people. That's it. So as for marriage is concerned, do whatever the fuck you want. But just hold back. Think about it. Do it for the right reasons. Don't just jump into it because your neighbor's cat got married.
Peer pressure, I think.
Yeah, peer pressure.
That probably explains why the divorce rate is so high, because like the good reasons for getting married, if there are any, it's not a book. There are not a book of good reasons getting married, but I guess there are some reasons that are more valid than others. And I guess this reason got lost through time because now with peer pressures and stuff like that, people tend to want to get married. As you said, there's that biological clock for women, and there are a lot of stuff that makes you want to get married.
Be with somebody. Why can't you just be? And if you're sure, when you're sure, you have the baby, you see how it works, how the functionality is between two people. We're meant to be opposites. We can't be the same identically. See how it works out. And then take a call on it. A marriage should be an auspicious event in your life that validates the love that you have for each other, instead of it being a proper, like a magazine cutout of, the cake has to be fucking 7 foot tall and he has to jump out of it. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
The hell. Oh, by the way, the tablecloth has got to be pink. And I was like, no.
So
So I think get to know yourself, love yourself a little bit more first, and see if the person's with you is worth the time and the money you're going to spend.
So my final thoughts would be that, I think love is the only good reason to get married. And, but if you haven't found somebody that you love, that's okay. I mean, you need love as a human being, but there's all kinds you can have. You can have it from friends and family and everything. You don't need it. And, it's not like after I got married, everything was sorted. I'm a complete mess. Sometimes I still have stuff I haven't achieved.
So what is the basic thing in that? Communication, communicate. Talk.
Just hang out with people. They're very difficult, but you need them. Sorry.
I mean, I hate this motherfucker right here. The end. I hate both these bitches.
But you die without us.
Yeah.
Cheers.
I'll be fucking dead.
Lastly, on this tutorial on how to get married,